Today, we are diving deep into one of the most powerful and honestly kinda unsettling tools of strategy you'll ever come across. We're talking about Law 44, the mirror effect. It's this subtle art of deception, influence, and let's be real, psychological warfare that can totally change the game in any situation you're in. Seriously, just think about that for a second. What if you could completely neutralize a rival, or teach someone a lesson they'll never forget, or even win them over to your side, all by using their own energy, their own actions, and their own psychology against them? Well, that's the big promise of the strategy we're about to unpack.
So at its very core, the mirror effect plays on this really deep psychological quirk we all have. You know that weird, jarring moment when you catch your reflection unexpectedly? For a split second, you don't see you see an object, a thing. It's disorienting. And right there, in that tiny moment of confusion, lies an immense amount of power.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're gonna start with the basics, the fundamental power of mirrors. Then we'll get into how they can be used as both shields and weapons. After that, we'll meet a true master of this stuff from history. And finally, we'll turn the mirror back on ourselves to see what we've really learned.
All right, first things first, let's really get to the heart of this. What is the mirror effect? And how does it manage to tap into our most basic, primitive emotions?
See, by perfectly reflecting back what other people do, or what they think, or what they desire, you essentially create a smokescreen. And behind that smokescreen, your true intentions are completely invisible. This gives you the power to mock an opponent into making a huge mistake, teach a subtle but powerful lesson, or even seduce someone with the incredible illusion that you two share the exact same soul. This whole strategy really breaks down into four main flavors, you could say. There's the neutralizing, the moral, the narcissus, and the hallucinatory effects. They range from simple self-defense all the way to some pretty elaborate deception. Let's start with the first two, which are all about protection and, well, teaching.
So we'll kick things off with the more reactive uses of the mirror. Think of these not as tools for aggression, but as clever ways to protect yourself from it or to make a powerful point without having to say a single word.
And this is just a brilliant way to understand it. Think about the Greek hero Perseus. He had to go slay Medusa, right? But he couldn't look at her directly or he'd turn to stone. So what did he do? He used his polished shield as a mirror. Medusa only saw her own reflection coming at her, and behind that screen, Perseus was free to act. By doing exactly what your opponent does, they get so focused on their own moves they can't see what you're really planning. In a business negotiation, this is like mirroring the other side's hardball tactics until they get confused and have to abandon their own script.
Now, this one is less about hiding and more about teaching. You know that old saying, actions speak louder than words? Well, the moral effect is that principle weaponized. Instead of complaining about someone's bad behavior, you just reflect it back at them. You force them to experience exactly what they've been dishing out. This old fable is the perfect example. A fox invites a stork for dinner, but serves soup on a flat plate the stork can't drink from. Total jerk move. The next week, the stork invites the fox over and serves minced meat in a long, narrow jar that the fox can't possibly reach. The lesson was delivered perfectly, without a single lecture. It's like the manager who shows up exactly 10 minutes late to a meeting with an employee who's always tardy. The point is made, and not a single word of confrontation was needed.
All right, so we've covered defense. Now let's flip the script and talk about offense. These next two mirror effects aren't about reacting. They're about proactively using the mirror to charm, to influence, and even to mislead.
This one is maybe the most powerful of all four effects, because it taps into a universal truth. We are all, on some level, in love with ourselves. It's just human nature. So when you can accurately reflect someone's deepest desires and values back at them, you create this incredibly intoxicating feeling. They feel seen, they feel understood, and that makes them ridiculously open to your influence. I mean, just think about your social media feed. It's a perfect narcissist mirror, reflecting your own taste back at you, making you feel understood, and keeping you scrolling for hours. And this isn't some new idea, you know. The writer Edgar Allan Poe absolutely nailed this concept of psychological mimicry. It's not just about repeating what someone says. It's about absorbing and reflecting their entire state of being. You become a mirror of their soul. And when you do that, you can understand and even anticipate their every move.
And finally, we have the ultimate con artist's tool. This is all about creating a perfect illusion, a copy of reality so convincing that people just mistake it for the real thing. In today's world, this is that super sophisticated phishing email that looks exactly like it's from your bank. The copy becomes your reality, and that's when you fall right into the trap.
So, theory is great, but how does this actually look in practice?
Let's turn to a historical figure who was an absolute master of the seducer's mirror, the ancient Athenian general and statesman Alcibiades.
This guy was a true chameleon. Back in Athens, he was the ultimate patriot, always pushing for more glorious conquest. But when he was forced to flee to his sworn enemies in Sparta, he transformed overnight. He cut his hair, took ice-cold baths, ate their simple food. And the Spartans? They were flattered. This great Athenian chose their way of life. Then later, in Persia, he adopted their lavish, luxurious lifestyle. He made every single group he met feel like their culture was obviously the superior one.
His method was simple, but man, it required incredible skill. He wasn't just pretending. He truly absorbed the values of the people around him. He'd study what they wanted, what they believed in, and then he would become the living, breathing embodiment of that ideal. He held up a mirror to their collective soul, and they absolutely loved him for it.
But here's the big warning label, the cautionary tale. When Alcibiades left a place, people felt empty. And when they saw him reflecting a totally different culture just as perfectly, they felt betrayed, they felt used. The seducer's mirror is incredibly powerful, but if you overuse it, it creates this deep resentment. Alcibiades angered so many powerful people that he spent his life on the run until his enemies finally caught up with him.
So, after exploring the theory and seeing it in action, what are the key things we need to take away from Law 44?
So to recap, the mirror effect is this incredibly versatile weapon. You can use it defensively to neutralize an opponent, like Perseus' shield. You can use it morally to teach a lesson without arguing, like the stork and the fox. And you can use it proactively to seduce by mirroring someone's psyche or to deceive with a perfect illusion of reality. And, this isn't just for ancient generals or modern con artists. Check out this quote from Sigmund Freud. He saw the mirror as a professional tool. A good therapist has to be a blank slate, a perfect mirror to reflect the patient's own thoughts back at them without getting in the way. It just goes to show how broadly this principle applies, from military strategy to modern psychology.
And that really is the question to leave you with. In your own life, in your own interactions, are you consciously holding up the mirror to understand and influence others? Or, and think about this, are you maybe just gazing into a reflection that someone else has very carefully constructed just for you? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.